cancer, and within a few months they will die. It happens regularly. In bigger cities, we see the number of people dying exceeds smaller towns. But we tend to think that only elderly people die. We do not consider the fact that we ourselves can die at any time. So because the way Allah has created time, how we perceive things, our perception is unique to us. Firstly, what's the definition of time? Time is measurement through movement. We have movement. Wherever there is movement, there is time. Wherever movement will stop, time will stop. So the very definition of time is what? Movement. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created time in such a way that time is relative. Even before Einstein came out with the theory of relativity in the early 1900s, the concept existed in the Quran. How in Surah Al-Kahf, the young men, they go into the cave, 7 of them, they fall asleep for 300 years. And then what happens? They wake up and they question one another, how long did you stay in the cave? And they say, now this theme is common amongst people, like the verses that were being recited now, the ayat. فَلَبِثْنَا يَوْمًا أَوْ بَعْضَ يَوْمٍ. We remained for a day or a certain part of the day. So they felt they were only sleeping for a day or part of the day. That entails that time is relative for them in the cave, while 300 years had passed. Similarly, in a hadith in the Sahih of Imam Bukhari, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam stood up on the minbar from Salatul Fajr, after Salatul Fajr, delivered a lecture all the way to Dhuhr, and then from Dhuhr to Asr, and then from Asr to Maghrib, and he informed them with بِمَا كَانَ وَمَا يَكُونَ, what happened from the time of Adam alayhi salam until the people of paradise enter paradise and the people of hell will enter hellfire. And the Sahaba state that كَانَ أَعْلَمُنَا أَحْفَظَنَا, the most learned of us will be the most memorized, who memorize most of this. Those Sahaba sitting in the masjid listening to the lecture, for them time was paused. So time is relative. You can sometimes go into a room alone, do dhikrullah, time will go slow. You'll have barakah in your time. Some people, they could go to a theme park, amuse themselves, hours will go by. A person, he could complete a number of books in a short period of time because Allah has placed barakah in his time. You can write so many things. You can research, you can study, you can do dhikrullah, all because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed barakah in your time. Taken out. In dreams, the dreams may not always be so vivid. At the time of death, it's more real than our worldly lives. Meaning you experience it more than our worldly lives. So the soul, what it experiences at that point is vivid. It's not like a dream. It's more powerful. But the soul is taken out. And then, what does it experience? Firstly, it experiences the angels. The first voice the person will hear with his soul is the voices of the angels conversing amongst themselves. How could this be? If some of you have ever undergone an operation, or you can imagine someone undergoing an operation, sometimes they inject you and you fall asleep, and there may be bouts where you are fighting the sleep and you can hear the doctors over you and you hear their voices in a sleepy way. That is something of which the person experiences at first point at the time of death. Suddenly a different realm opens up and he hears the angels conversing. What do they converse? They converse about which one will take the soul up. The one that is commanded to take the soul up then takes the soul. When the soul reaches that point, it comes out. Remember, the angels are made from light. So it is only befitting that a creation made from light carries a soul, because a soul is invisible to us. It's not like the material world. It's something material but so fine and so subtle that the angels take it up, and angels travel faster than light. So light, the distance of light, that what we refer to as the speed of light, angels travel faster than light. So the angels take the soul, and where does the person travel? He passes beyond space-time. He passes beyond the universes and galaxies that we observe. So people talk about space travel. يا معشر الجن والإنس إن استطعتم أن تنفذوا من أقطار السماوات والأرض فانفذوا لا تنفذون إلا بسلطان. O assembly of jinn and humankind, that you attempt, if you are able to pass out the space, beyond the space, attempt to do so. You will never be able to do so without the power. They cannot do it, going out into space. But at the time of death, you will experience that. And what happens? At the beginning I mentioned relativity of time. Now time stands still, because barzakh is a timeless zone. How is it timeless? Remember at the beginning I said time is relative to movement. Barzakh is not under the authority of the sun and the moon. Barzakh is beyond that. So someone could be undergoing a punishment of adab al-qabr. It lasts 1 minute on earth time, but in his grave he thinks he has been going under punishment for hundreds and thousands of years. Likewise, a person could be undergoing the favors of Allah in paradise, observing a garden of paradise, but on earth, and it goes quick. So for 5 minutes he's in paradise, and next thing it's the day of judgment. Thousands of years have gone. For 5 minutes he only experienced paradise, but 5 minutes in the barzakh. The soul goes up, it reaches a point. Where is it taken? Each human being has a door. Each human being has a door. Within the universe, on the sama dunya, he's taken up to the door, and if he was a kafir, the soul is thrown down, and he enters an area known as Sijjeen. This is the area where the kuffar are placed. The believer, he is permitted to enter the door. Where does he ascend? When the door is open, these are the believers whose good deeds outweigh their bad deeds. Where are they permitted to enter? The door is open. They ascend the 7 heavens, but at lightning speed, past the angel speed. They can observe the heavens. It's like if someone took a flight over a country, you quickly observe the countries. You won't be able to see every single thing. But these are huge creations of Allah. But the soul travels up. It goes beyond till it reaches Sidratul Muntaha, the furthest low tree. And on the right hand side of the furthest low tree is Jannah. He gets to Jannah. The heavens are not Jannah. They're two different things. The heavens are as-samawat. Jannah, paradise, is a different creation. On the right hand side of Sidratul Muntaha is Jannah. Within Jannah there is Illiyun. His soul is placed in Illiyun. That is our target. That our soul, when it's taken, is placed in Illiyun. And that is what is mentioned in Surah Al-Fajr. Ya ayyatuha an-nafsul mutma'inna irji'i ila rabbiki radiyatan mardiya fadkhuli fi ibadi wadkhuli jannati. Which is what? O soul that has reached what? Al-mutma'inna. What al-mutma'inna? Tranquility. The tranquil soul. Which soul? The tranquil soul. Now I will go back to the tranquility aspect. But before that, when the soul reaches Illiyun, now this man, his janazah is placed to pray over. From Illiyun, his body will be placed in the grave. When the body is placed in the grave, a connection is made between the body and the soul. So if it was a kafir, he's in Sijjin, there is a weak connection between the body and soul. Some people, they ask, these are common questions, I will mention them so those questions are done with. What happens with the person if his body is consumed by, let's say, a wolf or a shark? I'm sure many of you remember a Russian man was eaten in Egypt by a shark. Not Sisi, no, a shark, yeah. Yeah, it was a shark, yes. And ما كان حماس يعني كان كيف تقول شارك في عربي؟ قرش. نعم الذي يأكل الإنسان قرش. So what happened? A Russian man got eaten. So people ask the question, how the shark ate him all? Where is his barzakh? The answer is on the base of the spine. The base of the spine, you have a bone known as the coccyx bone. Ajabul Dhamb. The DNA of this bone always remains. So you can destroy the bone, but you can never destroy the DNA. They even carried out laser shooting out at the DNA. The DNA cannot be destroyed. This, if the entire human disintegrates, even in fire, the DNA of that bone will remain. Wherever that DNA goes, that is the barzakh of the person. It goes into a wolf, a shark, it comes out with the excrement. Wherever the excrement goes into the ground, it becomes a part of the soil. Someone makes a brick from the soil, they place the brick in the masjid, the man's barzakh is in the brick. Yawm al-Qiyamah comes, the brick wall collapses, it goes back into the earth. Wherever the Ajabul Dham goes. And then on the Day of Judgment, Allah will send down a rain, not normal rainwater, the water of life. That rain is able to penetrate everything. When it touches the Ajabul Dham DNA, the person regrows like an onion. His body grows again for Yawm al-Qiyamah. So what was mentioned, وَنُفِخَ فِي الصُّورِ, the same verse you recited, that when the trumpet is blown, there are a few blowings of the trumpet. One is to take the souls, and then one is to place them back into the bodies. And فَإِذَا هُمْ مِنَ الْأَجْدَاثِ يَنْسِلُونَ, that they come down from every slope. So that now explains to us with regard to the human experience in the barzakh. The human experience in the barzakh, when we are placed in the grave. So you may observe a dead body, but the dead body has a connection with the ruh in illiyin, or it has a connection with the ruh in sijjin. And then from there the person is experiencing everything. The adab al-qabr is from that. The ni'aim al-jannah, the favors of paradise, are from that. And then Yawm al-Qiyamah occurs. But how, to conclude, how do we reach a state of tum'anina? Tum'anina, as I said, was tranquility. We should attempt to reach that stage now, before our death. How do we do that? We do that by increasing our good actions for Allah and leaving our bad actions for Allah. That will give us a good worldly life, as I mentioned, that when we do actions in the dunya, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَلَنُحْيِيَنَّهُ حَيَاةً طَيِّبًا, He shall live a pure worldly life as well. Allah will place barakah in your rizq, in your sustenance, in your life, in your well-being, in your family, everything. And when the person dies, he dies a good death. What is referred to as husn al-khatimah, a good death. But that is done through what? Al-a'malu salihah, good actions. Of course, I do not need to take you through how to do al-a'malu salihah, is something we already know. But before we leave today, we should prepare for our own death. That can happen suddenly. It can happen perhaps to any one of us when we leave the masjid today. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to enable us to prepare for our death. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to enable us to prepare for our akhirah and to make us from His ibadullah salihin. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم وأتوب إليه.